Hey guys. So basically, what's going on is. Hello? Hello? Right. Basically, what's going on is that my video editor isn't working. And because of that, I can't make any videos. So I am doing my best to try and sort it out. It's just every time I try and upload an audio file, it corrupts. And it's just, I've been trying literally the majority of the day. And it was just a real pain to try and sort. So I will wait for you guys. It's going great so far. New participants. How can I do this? Oh, hello. Right. So, who's in? Hi, whoever. Hi, Kate. Right. So just to explain for you, because you just got it. Basically, my video editor isn't working, so I can't do any videos at the moment. I've been trying to, like, for the majority of the day, upload an abyss video on the frilled shark, but every time I put the audio file into it, it corrupts by making it echo and reverb, and no matter what I do, it won't work. So I thought, instead of like wasting any more time trying to do that, get a fresh head tomorrow and try and redo it. So for now, I'll just do a live stream. As the one on Monday went pretty well. And yeah, so if you want to start firing questions, go ahead, Kate. Anything in particular you want to talk about? Right. What I well, I'm willing to talk about any critters really. So if you've got a particular one, shoot. I'm happy to talk about a giraffe, elephant, anything. So if you've got a particular animal you want to talk about, I'm happy to. I've done 3 years of a zoology course, so quite good with most of them. Is there anything in particular? Like, I'm happy to talk about anything. What can I talk about? Wallabies, okay? Right. So obviously, I'm leading questions, but not sure what your uni studies focus on. Actually, I'm curious about freshwater parasites. Right. Okay. No worries. Freshwater parasites. I know a few from keeping tropical fish. From one of my subjects this year where I had to do stuff on nematodes, which are a type of parasite. So in particular, what we studied was the effects of drugs on parasites. So we used we got to use a drug called, well, we got to use nicotine and a drug called muscimol, which has similar effects to magic mushrooms. And we tested it on a type of nematode called C. elegans, and they're really cool. They're cool because they're an endoparasite, so they go into like the fish's body and they specifically attack the liver. And when it's doing that, we were seeing how it can forage and how the drugs would affect its foraging behavior. So what we did was we set up a small plastic tank with about 1 centimeter of water and like a 26 by 13 centimeter grid. And on one of the lines, we put a plastic wall with a little hole cutting into it, and we'd place the liver on the other side so that they could smell the liver because they forage through smell. And if they were the control group, we'd just put them straight in and see how long it would take them to get to the liver. The piece of liver that we were using sheep liver, and it's pretty much liver's liver. It's pretty much the same across all species, and and then we'd also say oh, it's gone into square A1 to B1 to B2 sort of thing, and then we'll be able to trace its movement. So it would tell us how many centimeters, the distance it moved until it found the food, or it didn't before time ran out, because we did it for about 10 minutes each. And then for the drugging, so we would place them into a petri dish with a diluted form of the drug so that it wouldn't harm them. basically we took like the regular amount that would induce hallucination, like the effects we wanted to see, and we just diluted it to a form that it was good for, like it wasn't potent for us, but it was still potent for them in safe doses. And do that for 10 minutes and then put them into the tanks and watch them do it. We were expecting the nicotine to go straight to the food. Like, control would go straight to the food, the nicotine would swim around and go to the food, and that the musky mole wouldn't go anywhere near it. We actually found an opposite effect. Nicotine actually had no, if anything, it made them less active. Whereas musky mole, when we looked into it afterwards, it actually gives like a form of the munchies. So obviously the nematodes that did make it, obviously it affected them more. And it was really cool to see. Right. And obviously if they didn't make it within 10 minutes, we just had to say did not complete test. But we had like one of the controls were like 5-6 minutes each, the ones that actually made it to the food. But like one of the musky mole ones made it in like under 2 minutes. So it was one of those, and it was quite interesting. And then researching it, like, because nematodes have like the basis of a nervous system, it kind of shows how it can affect other animals and humans. So that was really cool to see. What other ones do I know about? So you have to forgive me, my head's kind of over the place. Oh, what is that? The other ones are like the ones you commonly get in like fish tanks, like white spot, hookworm. In the marine environments, you get isopods that like eat the fish from the inside out. There's all sorts, really. Like, majority of the time, if it can infect. Parasites are the funny one, because if you look at the food chain, look like at the basic food chain or food pyramid hierarchy, however you want it. Like, you got your grass, your primary consumers, and then your secondary consumers. So you've got the grass, plants, then you've like fed herbivores, and then your carnivores, and then your carnivores that eat the other carnivores, sort of thing. But on top of that, like the big, like, it's what kind of throws the whole food pyramid out of balance is parasites, because it's the biggest group. It's like you can go, if you find like an apple on the ground, right, just like go to an apple tree and there's some on the ground, more than likely there are nematodes on that. That's C. elegans. What am I? It wasn't C. elegans we used in the experiment. It was a different one, but I can't remember the name. And I can't access my old uni files to check. But what other? Honestly, at the moment, I can't think of any other other parasites at the moment. What's the other thing called? There's if I had, and I could literally, if I had one of my aquarium books with me, I could just open up and have a ton of stuff on parasites. And I just, oh God. But The easiest thing. Fresh water. Oh, there's always types of treatments that can help. It's like you've got like your, so like when you do keep fish in an aquarium, you've got like your white spot treatments, your hookworm treatments, stuff like that. Because it's like a certain chemical that does it. Sometimes antibiotics may work. There's all sorts, like the ones where it's like, so when they're a big one, like a botfly, the easiest thing to do is just remove it, like just like literally just get it out with tweezers or something and remove it. But then things like white spot and stuff like that need specific treatments. So yeah, it's all right. I get caught off guard with a lot of stuff. So like with white spot here, white spot is one of the most common aquarium fish diseases, and several manufacturers produce a liquid white spot remedy via your aquatic shopper website. You calculate the volume of your tank and treat accordingly with whatever instructions they give you. Remove carbon from the filter when medicating. So it's just stuff like that. Right. Prevention is easier than treatment. So with this, preventing white spot, like you put a UV sterilizer in an aquarium, and it helps. Like it gets rid of it while it's in its dormant stage. But in the wild environments, that's why you have animals that eat. That's why you have like the cleaning stations and like the marine and stuff like that. It's why chimps groom each other, like to get rid of the parasites that they can see or that are on the outer body. For endoparasites, it's a different story because not every. Well, for fish, it's easy when it's like in the mouth and stuff. Other fish can swim in, get rid of it for you. But when it's in like your gut and things like that, it's a completely different story. I'd say lifespan is next to nothing. Sorry, I just got a message. Sorry. What else can I talk? It's just my knowledge of parasites is just what I know from keeping pet fish and from like watching stuff, like watching some medical documentaries like Monsters Inside Me and things like that. So that's the best information I can give. Like the other one I know about is toxoplasmosis, I think it's called, and that one's like a zombie virus. It infects rats, causes like takes over the brain, causes them to like do the opposite of the normal behavior, which is hide away from cats, and they go towards the cats so the cats eat them, because the parasite can only breed in the gut of a cat. So it's one of those, like, breeds in a cat, comes out, infects a mouse or a rat, and then causes that to get eaten by the cat, and so on and so on. Any other questions? Like, topics I've covered is stuff like evolution, basics of genetics. Like, I can go into things like how hybrid animals, like, I say hybrid, but like how like recessive and dominant genes, and how like you can have someone with blonde hair, brown eyes, and then the next generation would be like blonde hair, blue eyes, sort of thing. And I know some ecology, like field research statistics, which I absolutely hate because that was a compulsory module, and it's worse than math. I can't believe I'm saying that, but I'd rather do like algebra and trigonometry and geometry instead of statistics. There's, what else is there? Well, I've obviously done marine and freshwater. I've done animal social systems, animal learning and conditioning, so where you're teaching like animals. Yeah, we all hate statistics. You're not the only one. I think I only met one person who actually I understood the basics. Like my first year, I got a first in statistics, but then after that, it went downhill. Because after t-test, Man Whitney, and like all the basic ones, the other ones like ANOVA and chi-squared, I couldn't follow. Like my head just shut off. Oh yeah, by the way, sorry if it's annoying if I keep repeating. I read out what you put because it's just it's easier for me to do it. Right, yeah. So like in the last Amateurs Edutainment, we actually did explain about one called the sickleback. Sickleback, the one where it can survive in different salinities into complete fresh and stuff like that. Believe it or not, guppies can do it, and so can things like Colombian cat sharks. Well, they're not really sharks, but they look like ones. They're just catfish. It's one of the few catfish that can actually live in salt water. Mollies can do it, because I've seen fish tanks with like guppies and mollies with clownfish. So yeah. What else? Some species of crab. There's quite a few, to be fair. The bull shark being another one. Sawfish, because I had to do an entire report on those about like the illegal trade and stuff with them, so I had to learn a bit about them. They spend most of the time in estuaries and stuff, and that can go from complete salt to complete fresh water. So what else? Yeah, there's quite a few. Like if I was to type in like fish that can be in both salt and freshwater, I'd imagine there's at least 10. All right, 7. So not far off. Basically, all it is with going between freshwater and saltwater is the fish have to have the ability to like keep the salt content. So in in the marine environment, there's obviously salt, but not. And then in the animals, there's obviously water. Like every living being has water in their system, or in their cells, or whatever. It's literally just like a thing of osmosis. So like, kind of like imagine a cell in your body. It's like you have fluids on the inside and fluids on the outside, and it's got to be the right balance of the two. Some fish are able to change the balance of salt in their system with the salt in the environment, and like the fluids in their body with the fluids in the environment. So it is really cool to see. But so on this list, number 1 is a Gulf sturgeon. There's the green sawfish, like I said, or sawfish in general, salmon, like you said, bull shark, barramundi. I didn't even know that was a thing. It's like an Asian sea bass. The American eel. I should have had that one on top of my head because they come over. Some species come over to Britain to breed in freshwater and then go back out to salt over like the course of 7 years. That's cool. Atlantic stingray. Didn't know that one. But yeah, there's another list of 10 that can do it. It's one of those things where it's just loads of species can learn to do it. Here's another one, a desert pupfish. Never heard of that. Green cromide herring is another one. Mummy chog and white perch. So the process is called I'm not going to try and pronounce that. I'll let you try and have a look at that one yourself. But because I hate trying to read scientific words because half the time I get them wrong. Unless I've heard someone else say them, I tend to butcher them. But it's that word that. Why do I even try this? Did that work? Yeah, there you go. That word there. I'm not even going to try and say it. Yeah, like it says here, the green crab can do it as well. It's pretty much just like osmoregulation is what is. That's the process that I was trying to think of. They're able to control salt content in the body and between their body and the salinity around them. Oh wow. It says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 different species of fish that can do it. And then there's a few others that can do it. It doesn't actually give me a name for them, so I can't do anything on that one. Surprised no one else has joined. I did put up did you get an alert of a notification that I was doing a live stream? Just out of curiosity. I put up an event at 9:30 to say I was doing 11 o'clock British Standard Time. I just want to know if you actually got a notification to say I was. As I've also put it on my Instagram, my Twitter. Should probably put it on. Yeah, so that's strange. I would have thought more people would have come to it, but oh well. So I'll put a post on my Facebook right now. Americans not so much. It's a holiday. All right, yeah, 4th of July. Oh god. To be fair, I would expect most of them probably wouldn't like me anyway, just because of being British and all. But to be fair, I don't really care where people are from and what race, religion, or anything like that. As long as you're happy with your life, I'm happy with my life, sort of thing. I don't judge anyone except by the acts that they do. And it has to be like the act of an actual person, not the act of like the group they're associated with. It's like here we've got the EDL, the English Defence League, who are against immigrants, and I know some. I will judge some by some of the stuff that they say and do, but then there's others that they're just associated with it. Doesn't mean, or they're associated with someone that like follows the thing, and I don't like. It's the same with politicians and stuff like that. Unless you can like, the only thing my thing with politicians is that if you don't do the things you said you're going to do, then you've lost faith in the people. But hey ho, that's just the way it is, unfortunately. From sea to land, tell me about hedgehogs. They are illegal here, but my house in Kenya is hoglet heaven. That sounds nice. I know nothing about them. So it depends on the type of hedgehog you're on about, because there's African, because we can get like an African pygmy hedgehog, and then we have our common ones. Like they are cool. Like obviously covered in spines, curl up into a ball for defense against predators and stuff. Stop little kids picking them up, or try to anyway. Then nocturnal, they're insectivores, so they primarily they're primarily eat insects, but some of them eat like a couple of fruits and veg as well. We had an entire thing in my college where we helped a animal rescue center like try and rehabilitate some to go back into the wild, because they were found in people's gardens and stuff with an injury, and that was cool to be part of. Obviously you've got Sonic. Yeah, it's pretty much just any spiny mammals from like from the family, like from a like certain subfamily of like mammals. I know they eat insects. Do they carry disease? I don't think it's so much disease. Like here, here we go. In areas where hedgehogs have been introduced, such as New Zealand and the islands of Scotland, the hedgehog has become a pest. In New Zealand, it's because it causes immense damage to native species, including insects, snails, lizards, and ground nesting birds. As with many introduced animals, it lacks natural predators. And then obviously it's just stuff like eradication or diseases. So generally, like the most common ones include cancer, fatty liver disease, and cardiovascular disease. The fatty liver is just caused by like bad diet, really. Like they don't get enough. Right, they can. So here it's can uncommonly transmit a characteristic fungal skin infection to human handlers, which is ringworm. So that's that may be like one of the things you might be on about. They also have a thing called balloon syndrome, but that's just where gas is trapped under the skin. So it's not so much disease why they're harmful, because fungal disease like ringworm is quite easy to treat. It's like a really common fungus. Like loads of people who work with animals are at risk of getting it, but it goes away, sort of thing. It's literally just where like it's called ringworm because it just forms like a circle on your skin, and you pretty much get rid of it like you would athlete's foot and stuff like that. So like just a course of antibiotics or like a certain antibiotic cream or something like that. We have a new viewer. So who is? I can't tell who you are. Hi, whoever's just joined. If you've got any questions, just let me know and just stick them in the chat. And this is where it's going to be someone like Scott who's going to challenge me on everything, isn't it? Guys, I sent you a link about 2 minutes ago. Four minutes ago, actually. But yeah, you're more than welcome to say hi. Yeah. I think the reason your questions are going to drive me mad is just because like it's kind of like a learning. It's like it depends if I have knowledge on it. Otherwise, it's like quick search and just quickly read. Because I've had to learn to do that. Because like all last summer, I just sat reading scientific papers, and it's just like I've learned to just like skim for things that are important. But even if it's just questions about stuff like university, what it's like being a student, what it's like to study animals, what it's like to like work for animals, because I have had work experience in a pet shop, so kind of know some stuff there. Obviously, like keeping pets and stuff, same as most people, but I think I've had some weird pets. Well, in my opinion, I have. But no, like I've obviously like throughout college, I've gotten to work with like specialist animals as well, like certain types of snake, certain types of lizard, marmosets, tortoises, turtles, amphibians, chinchillas. Sugar gliders are quite cool, and like different like rare breed farm stock, like bag-gilt goats, certain type of pig, I can't remember, a thing called a rear, 3 types of sheep that I can't remember the name of, some type of chicken, ducks with like the afro on their head, like standard mallard ducks as well, ferrets. The list goes on, to be honest. Like the amount of animals I've encountered in like the last, well, in my 2 years alone at college is more than I've encountered in my 3 years at university. Except like some of the ones at university have just been like have been like the sponges, anemones, well, British anemones. I've got to work with like anemones from like the tropical regions. Jellyfish is only one that I've encountered since university. Same with hermit crabs and a few things that you wouldn't usually come in contact with, or knowingly come in contact with unless you were searching for them. So, all right, chinchillas do make good pets. They're quite calm, although every animal has its own temperament. Every animal has its own personality, just like humans. So it's just they're like a tropical species. It's just you just got to be wary that if you startle them, they will shed their fur straight away wherever you're touching, so they suddenly have a bald patch, and they will pee on you. That is one of their self-defense mechanisms, is to urinate on you. But if you treat them with respect and you stay calm and collected and approach slowly, then a chinchilla is like would be like your best friend. It'd be like it's like cuddling like a living teddy. So imagine, sorry for the close-ups. Imagine this is in chinchilla. It's roughly the same size, and it's just like cuddling it like that and doing soft strokes like that. Feeding them's not too difficult. They take, well, you can buy like chinchilla mix stuff in pet shops majority of the time. The one thing I will say is the enclosures you need, it's not so much the width, it's more of the length and the height, because they do like to climb. The enclosures we had for them at college, I was big enough to like walk in, like stood up, and I'm 6 foot tall, and they're still like a foot or two above me. Another relative to their closest cousin, which is called the Degu, are quite cool as well. They're more of an arid environment, so they live more in the desert, and so it's completely different, and it looks more like a mouse, and like they have like orange teeth, and that's how you know they're healthy, is when they have the orange teeth. You have to, with all rodents, you still have to give them like things to chew on so that their teeth don't like overgrow, because their teeth constantly grow. But with them, they're strictly not allowed any fruit, because the sugars in, well, they don't need sugars in their diet. Yeah, like a rabbit with the teeth thing. Degus are not allowed a single bit of sugar in their diet because be diabetic. That's why you're not allowed to feed them fruit and stuff like that, because it will give them diabetes. So that's an interesting fact. And then they had the same self-defense mechanism where they urinate on you. And what is my degree in? My degree is in zoology. I have a bachelor's degree in zoology, and I'm hoping to get a master, well, be accepted into a master's for biodiversity conservation and specialize in marine and freshwater like I did for my zoology course. What do they eat if they don't eat fruits? Pretty much just if you're keeping them as a pet, instead of fruits, to give them vegetables, seeds, stuff like that. Like Degu diet. I don't want to buy food for them. So they're strictly herbivorous, so only really eat plant matter. In the wild, they feed on grasses and browse on the leaves of shrubs. They may also take seeds. They also like rabbits. They will eat their own poo. So that's the thing. The first time they poo, it comes out green because it's just full of all the nutrients they couldn't digest the first time. So they eat the green poo, and then when that comes back out, it's brown. That's the poo they don't eat. So when you see a Degu and you clean up his poo, it's already it's gone through the system twice, pretty much. Kind of like when a cow, when you, even though it's not, you can't see it eating the grass, it's still chewing. That's because they need to break down the plant matter more. It's just that's how a few rodents like rabbits and degus and things like that, that's how they cope with that, because cellulose in plants is really hard to digest. So it's easier for ruminants, so animals with 4 stomachs, and then harder for ones like us, which only have a single stomach. So it's one of those. We're more adapted to omnivores, so we don't have to eat grass and things like that. That's what our appendix was for, if I remember correctly, or when we used to eat leaves and stuff. That's just stuff like that. Native to where? So I don't actually know where they're native to. South America, unless that's Africa. Nope, South America, in Chile, Peru, Argentina, and Bolivia. Although, because of overexploitation, most of the populations have dwindled. So that's a bit unfortunate, but yeah. But yeah, and then the Degu is, if it lets me do it. Thanks. I'm guessing you mean. Oh, right. So ZA means South Africa and SA means South America. Okay. Peru, home of giant hamsters. Yeah, capybara. They're really cool. I like them because they're semi-aquatic. Oh god. See, I like. That's what I mean. It's hard for me not to like a certain animal. Like for me to not like a certain animal, it has to be like. I have to find it really creepy. Capybaras are just like giant hamsters. They're found in South America as well. It's the largest living rodent. Semi-aquatic, obviously, like I've said. You see them in the zoos a lot. They're really social animals. Some people keep them as pets. I don't know why, but some of them keep them as pets, like to help with rearing like puppies and stuff like that, because it gives them something to do. So like they're herbivores, grazing mainly on grasses and aquatic plants, as well as fruit and tree bark. But they're very selective on the types of like leaves of one species. They eat a great variety of plants in the dry season, but in the wet season, they choose to focus on like their favorite food, and then again they eat their own poo to help break down the cellulose. Generally live 8 to 10 years, but live less than 4 years in the wild because they are a favorite food of jaguars, pumas, ocelot, eagles, caiman, and the preferred prey of anaconda because it's one of the biggest things they can get. It's related to the guinea pig, and it's also like us where it can produce vitamin C, so it has to eat it in like form of citrus, like citrus fruits. Otherwise, they develop gum disease as a sign of scurvy. There we go. And obviously, they eat tree bark to keep their teeth short. Right. Other persons left. Okay. I can't be that boring, can I? Oh god. Depending if anyone else like joins. Or decide when this ends. So obviously, like you're in Kenya. What's the biggest carnivore you've come across? Like lioness, right? Okay, sorry, I was about to say lions. Okay, cool, yeah. Because the thing, well, obviously, like largest carnivore I've come across here is native one anyway, is a fox. Largest exotic one would be a bear in a zoo. Never done the safari to see the males at the Mara. Fair enough. No, that's fair enough. In the US, a timber wolf. Cool. I actually, when I went to Nosley Safari, that's the first time I've ever seen any type of wolf. So that's really cool. And I think, yeah, those were timber wolves. God. Yeah, I've had a few drinks today because of stressing out. I meant to like be laying off the drink, but stressed out, and it calmed me down a bit, especially because they were free. Yeah. So bears in your area are omnivores, but they eat carrion instead of live prey. So if anyone's watching this back, carrion is basically scavenging. So basically just like scavenging on dead animals. But it's more of ease. So obviously, like with how big bears are, it's easier for them to scavenge food than to actively hunt it. Where especially when they've been like hibernating, so they haven't got as much energy and stuff. So obviously they actively hunt when it comes to like the salmon run and stuff like that. Probably not in your part of the US, I don't know, but brown bears will like catch the salmon and stuff like that. But that's the advantage of the omnivore diet is like when one food source isn't available, there's others. So they can eat berries and stuff like that when other like prey or isn't about, or like they scavenge from like dead animals and stuff like that. So that's why like omnivores are some of the most successful animal species, like us. Humans are evolved to be omnivores. I know people choose to be like but as you go vegetarian, you're still technically omnivore. But then you've got those who go vegan, and you're technically living as a herbivore. And then you got those that eat a lot of meat, like me and Scott. But you still, again, we eat other stuff as well, so we're still technically omnivores. And then depending on the type of like meat you eat, decide what type of carnivore you are. So like insects and insectivore, fish is a pescivore, and I think the others are just general carnivores. I can't remember the exact names for them. That's going to annoy me for a while, but anyways. And then herbivores is generally just herbivore. There's not really a specialization there. But I'm curious, what do you actually, do you work with animals, or like Cindy does, or are you just someone who's studied animals or something like that? Because obviously I've studied animals, I'm still yet to work with them, but hopefully someday. Well, I say that I'm still doing this. I'm technically kind of working with animals when I go out and do amateurs edutainment. It's just, if you get what I mean. Because like obviously you've done statistics, so well by the sounds of it, you've done statistics from earlier on in the chat. So I'm guessing you've studied some form of science. Oh, so you work with animals, but your degree is in engineering, nothing interesting. You say that, and engineering is quite a popular degree. Quite a popular thing these days, just because, like, obviously engineers are developing technology, and the amount of like zoologists, conservationists, marine biologists, biologists, forensic anthropologists, stuff like that, anything ending with an "is" at this point. The amount of them that I've seen working with engineering teams to create new technologies to help conserve animal species. Like, my tutor in university was making laser fences. It's like for cattle. You insert them like a chip or something on the collar or something like what a dog would have for to help find the address of where it lives, and it helps keep it within a certain border of land, so there's no need for fences. So you're causing less impact on the environment. But if you're a zookeeper, that's really cool. If you just agriculture and consulting in Kenya. Oh, right. So that's why you're in the US and Kenya. Okay, cool. Old school. That's where I wish I knew more about insects, parasites, at least tropical varieties. Right. Tropical varieties of parasites. Yeah, that's one topic that's a miss for me. I'm lucky in the fact that my girlfriend and a couple of my friends studied parasitology this year, and one of them's looking to do a master's in School of Tropical Medicines, looking into parasites and stuff like that. So I could probably do a future one on that where I could interview them or talk to them, get information off them and then relay it back to you, sort of thing. Don't know how that would quite work, but because I know, because I've already discussed with my girlfriend because she doesn't want to be on camera, so tried to talk her into filming for me when I go out and do amateurs edutainment, but unfortunately not. But at the end of the day, oh well. I could always do an interview with her where she's off to the side doing her own thing or something, and she can just talk to me about, or I can talk with her about parasites and stuff. Whoever's joined, go ahead in the chat, say hi. You got any questions or anything? I'm happy to answer. Okay. Seriously, there's a woman from the UK in Tanzania who does dolphins in the Mozambique Channel. If you want it badly enough, apply for an internship. See, this is where, for me, it's hard because I've seen so many internships that I want to apply for, but it's the cost of getting a visa. It's the cost of getting flights, the accommodation, having money to eat while I'm there, and because I'm no longer in university, I can't get funding to do it. Because I've graduated, I can't get funding unless I start doing a master's, because they give me the option to do about 30 days of an internship, so I can just fly out for a month and do it, and doing that would be brilliant. But because for me it all comes down to how long they are, the price, because obviously I work part-time. I only work 2-3 days a week because hours are hard to get at work and pays minimum, so it's I think I'm lucky to get 1 9-hour shift a week, if that. Okay, I'm from the UK. Visa is £50. Eat like a native for £3 per day. I'm pretty sure there's accommodation in her compound. Okay, cool. Because my thing as well would be I would want to like document my time there, and I know it just sounds like I'm trying to come up with excuses, but I want to share whatever experiences I have with other people. So obviously upload them to YouTube. But because I'm gonna lie, I've set up a Patreon page that I've linked in my channel. It's like if that took off, like maybe in like a couple years I could do it. But it's like my other one is my commitment to my relationship commitments and family commitments. Because I do want to do these things, but then again, at the same time I don't want to like. I'm already like putting pressure on relationship if by doing or by wanting to do a master's, because I'm not going to be able to see it for like a year or so. All right, so if not an internship, turn that degree into an asset and apply for an expat job. It's Africa, not the Mariana Trench. We have internet service, 50p a day will keep you connected. Right. All right, I will keep this in mind, don't worry. Because it will be cool to do this sort of stuff. I'll just build up some funds first, because at the minute I'm barely scraping by on like a couple hundred a month. Because that's got to pay for like my food for the month, my bills and stuff like that. But I want to start making a bit more. I'll definitely look into that. But, so what type of agriculture is it? Is it like cattle? Is it like sheep, goats, or is it like agriculture sort of stuff? But I would definitely keep those internships in mind. I just have a look around for what ones would suit me best. Because, as I've said, I love learning more stuff about animals. To be fair, sometimes it may bore me and I may fall asleep. But when I feel like I've absorbed enough information, although I probably never will, that'll probably be when I retire. That's kind of why I want to be a marine biologist, because I can just learn and learn and learn by doing investigations. But if I can't get that, then I've got to go into different things, like being a zookeeper or an aquarium keeper or something like that. But I don't. But my thing is, I don't like being. I don't want to be sat in an office. I actually want to physically do stuff. Because like, if I was to do this and just type away all day, like, I'd go insane. I'm not gonna lie, I would go insane. Like, just doing that in uni drives me insane. But it's something that's only for a certain amount of time, and it will eventually lead to something. Whereas doing that as a full-time job, not so much. When Kenyans kicked the Brits out, head of household got 5 acres. They planted coffee. I try to expand their crop base because 50p per kilo on coffee doesn't educate even one child more crops. All right, cool, fair enough. So your help. So from that, I gather you're helping generate more income for the coffee bean farmers, and you're also helping educate children. More crops than critters. Yeah, that's one thing that. Oh, sorry, I just got what you meant. Yeah, so you work with more plants than animals. Nah, that's fair enough. I just hear agriculture and I immediately think either like both or just animals. I don't think crops. Even though I've gone through like all the different types of farming in geography in high school, which I don't even know if that counts as geography, but yeah. You know, who knows nowadays, to be honest. Because I think, if I remember correctly, there's like 3 different types of farming. There's commercial, sustainable, and the one where you just do it to get by on your own. You do get paid with baby goats occasionally. That's all right. Free lawnmower in a way. Baby goats can be cute, but I'm guessing you don't get to keep them for long. Because as I found out the other day, goats don't eat everything like people say. Focus on sustainable. Baby goats are delicious. Yeah, I understand that. I like lamb, so I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, but I like meat. I'm not going to lie. The only meat I don't eat is seafood. I don't touch a single bit of seafood because I know what's happened to half of it, so don't risk it at all. And then the others I just don't like the texture or the taste. So I can be a bit I can be a picky eater where I'm like Scott in what I eat in some ways and what I eat, where it's like majority of my meals have like a form of meat and a starch in. But then I step up on him by having veg. He steps up on me by having fruit. Because I don't like a lot of fruit. Fukushima. Yeah, that's one reason. Other reasons is just how they're farmed. Like it's like some prawns and that they're like filled with so many different medicines so they're resistant to like disease and stuff. It's and the way they farm them is like it's not sustainable because they just dig a pit, fill it with water, throw the prawns in, tons of antibiotics, yeah, and then once they've took them out, that like little pond can't be used again. It's just left. So you've pretty much just polluted a piece of environment that could have been used for something else. And obviously, and they sacrifice like the mangroves and that, which like a natural defense against ocean flooding. That it destroys the economy and stuff. And then there's others like the paints I mentioned the other day. That's still used in China. It's, to be fair, the amount that's being used has gone down, but because it's still being used and it's still harmful, it is also harmful to humans. It's just by the time it's gotten to us, it's in smaller doses than what it was when it's actually being used in the farming. It's like organic versus non-organic. Like one's been covered in pesticides and antibiotics and stuff. One's just been allowed to grow naturally and been had a rinse and checked for like organisms and that on it. one's designed to be one's genetically modified to look like desirable, one's not. It's one of those, because that type of paint, the chemical that they use a lot of is TBT. I can't remember what it stands for, but tiger prawns have been found with traces in that in. And I know the effects that can have, because here in Liverpool, in the Mersey River, it turned the species, it mutated the species of snail, or one of the species of snails, and they went from two separate sexes into asexual or hermaphroditic, and it just wasn't natural. So it like put the population out of whack. So like suddenly there was a sustainable amount of these snails, and there's suddenly tons of them. That's kind of like when you get unwanted snails in your aquarium. But, okay, I keep noticing the number going from 1 to 2, 1 to 2. It's like every 5 minutes someone tunes in and then tunes back out. And so I think the last time I actually ate a bit of seafood was a cod. And that was, I ate a piece of cod, and that was like back in, it's back before I even started high school. So about I want to say 10, 11 years ago. Well, 9 to 11 years ago. I think I was, what was the years? I'm going to say 9, because I think I was like 11 or 12 last time I ate it. And obviously now I'm 21. So that is a good chunk of my life where it's almost like pretty much half my lifespan I haven't eaten seafood. It's just, I know a vegan lifestyle wouldn't suit me. I couldn't hack it as a vegan, because I'd be limited to, the only way I'd be able to get protein is either peas or protein powders, because I don't eat nuts. I had asthma as a kid and wasn't allowed to eat peanuts, and obviously I don't eat other nuts just in case it brings anything back. The doctors have said it's all clear, but it's just me being paranoid, so I won't touch them. So I could go vegan and live off eggs, but for my protein. But I did an entire week of that, and because I was really had no money, and I don't want to do that again. I literally lived off eggs and rice for a week, and God, my place, my flat stank of egg, and my stomach didn't feel right afterwards. Anyway. All right. Anyway, back to animals. See, uni student diet ramen noodles. It's only in the last 6 months I've actually started eating noodles. I never really ate noodles a lot. I preferred rice. So I was just going out and buying egg rice, fried rice, chicken fried rice, something like that, or like a microwave packet of rice. I actually have microwave packets of rice in my freezer right now. And one in my cupboard and stuff like that. I've only started eating noodles since I started going to Wok and Go, or Chinese takeouts that actually do it, or Japanese takeouts or whatever. Yeah, because I eat pot noodles. I'm not gonna lie. Pot noodles too for £2 for a pot. Obviously, you can get ramen for like 50p a pot. I was getting like, I can get an entire bag of frozen microwave rice for a pound, and it's like 4 portions. So I literally earlier I had like chicken and egg fried rice. The day before I had mashed potato and chicken. I eat a lot of chicken just because it's the cheapest meat. But I do prefer beef. Beef and lamb are my favorite meats. But yeah, because people like, I know the stereotype is like you eat ramen and you get skinny. If anything, I've gotten fatter since I left high school, and I wasn't skinny, but I wasn't big. And then like throughout college, I got a bit bigger. Now I'm like the biggest I've ever been. So trying to cut back on a lot of stuff. I've literally gone from like eating whenever I'm stressed out, because I used to stress eat a lot, especially with uni and stuff. So it's getting really stressed. So eat a chocolate bar, eat a sandwich, something like that. So that's piled on. Now it's like breakfast, dinner. That is it. Small breakfast, big dinner. That usually does me for the day. I may have like the odd snack, and then like a couple of drinks. I've like cut down from like 3 a week to about 1 a week. Except obviously when I've gone out drinking and I have like quite a lot of fizzy because of alcohol to mix with it. Because I generally tend to drink either vodka. Well, I started off drinking cider and lagers and beers. Now I drink mostly whiskey and vodka. So that's something. And my alcohol tolerance has gone way, way up since like when I first started drinking. I remember my first drink was whiskey, and that was to help me get rid of a cold. Well, actually, no. My first one was the tiniest sip of Guinness, but then my first proper drink was a glass of whiskey. I think it was a double, actually. Yeah, double whiskey. But I know American shots are a lot bigger than British shots. Like British. I actually got a shot glass here. Give me 2 seconds. That's the size of a British shot, right? And then even then, well, to be fair, the shot glass is from Tenerife, but even then, it's not filled right to the brim. It's like still like a little bit above, a little bit below. Sorry. Like, I'd say it's about like two lots of that is a shot, 2 lots of like a capful. I do Baileys and coffee. I'm too old to deal with hangover. My days of being carried home from the pub and done. Yeah, I think first year in university, I probably had to. Well, I say carried. I had to be watched because I didn't know my limits. But nowadays, I know my limits. My friends call me a lightweight because I'd stop and have a glass of water or something, but that's it. I'm also like, because I know it's British of me, but I'd rather have a cup of tea than coffee. I hate the taste of coffee. Oh God. So I kind of fit the British stereotype in that way. Yeah, gotta have the milk, gotta have the sugar. It's just with the British, it's like a competition of who does the best tea bags, and I've gotten into this. Brew coffee in milk, not water, changed it completely. Okay, I'll give that a go because my girlfriend has some coffee in the cupboard, so I'll give that a go. But no, I mean, I probably still won't like it just because I know. Me, coffee is a really strong taste. Like, I know whiskey, like this is a fucking strong. It's not that strong, but it's still like it burns when it goes down because I like to drink whiskey straight half the time. But coffee just tastes really bitter to me. So, but I'll give the milk a shot. I'll try it tomorrow. Actually, I just gotta try not to get. Just gotta find a way. Never drank coffee until I went to Kenya. They brought in milk. Now I'm addicted. Fair enough. Yes, I'll give it a go. I'm not promising anything, but I'll give it a go. Just everywhere else around here brews it with water, so it's one of those things. So I'd have to like make it at home a lot. if I do get addicted to it, that is. If not, I'm sticking to my cups of tea and hot chocolate. Can't go wrong with hot chocolate. Half a teaspoon to a cup of milk. And make sure I have a good. Yeah, I have coffee filters here actually because I did an experiment once where I tried to make my own flavored vodka, and that didn't go too well. And that was all bitty. That tasted nice because it was just like Starburst in vodka that I left for like a week to like put the flavors into it. Tried to strain it, didn't go so well. Ended up with a bitty one that tasted really bitty, but of strawberry, so it was okay. Just really bloody strong. But so I've got coffee filters here, so I'll just put that into like a sieve, give it a go. Just I just got to figure out how to heat up the milk without using the kettle and without like getting it stuck to the saucepan because I'm not that great at boiling stuff. The only use I have for vodka is Bahang. I have no clue what Bahang is, but okay. Oh, right. Okay. Bahang is an edible preparation of cannabis. Okay. Yeah, I never knew. Okay, fair enough. Because that's being talked about getting legalized here for medical purposes, not recreational. But yeah. But God, it's midnight here. But yeah, it's because I heard all this stuff about like bulletproof coffees meant to help, but I don't like fads, so I didn't really use them. Probably could have done like whatever the hell they use in that film Limitless, where it's like, oh, take this magic pill that helps like your brain, and like it helps with like retaining information and stuff, like smart drugs really. But I'm not very keen on them. unless it's like given to me by a medical professional, I won't touch them usually, unless I need it for something. But hour and a half, bloody hell. Right. So just a quick question: with your coffee, is it hot or is it cold? Because I'm curious now. With it being milk, it is kind of a biting at me a bit. I'm not gonna lie. Either you can have. All right, okay, no worries. To be fair, I didn't think I'd like iced tea until I tried it. It's fine. It's one of those. Yeah. Another thing I want to talk about is okay, drink it hot or chill it. Okay, no worries. But yeah, we got a couple hours ago we got a new subscriber, so that's cool. So if you new subscriber, if you end up watching this, welcome to the channel. And coffee filter won't work well with milk though. Okay, I'll use a very fine sieve. I use one that I usually use for gravy, because my gravy always ends up bloody lumpy as hell. Sieve, okay. Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't. The amount of stuff I've cooked like over the course since I first learned to cook when I was like 12. I want to say 12. Obviously, I made like jellies and cakes and that before, but like proper cooking, like home cooking, I want to say 12. Like first meal I ever cooked was Moroccan lamb, and then after that I cooked steak. I tend to stick to like the safe stuff like steak and that just because it's easy. But then, like in the last 3 years, I've learned to make bolognese from scratch, making my own sauce for it. Made my own barbecue sauce, and all that stuff. Yes, it's more expensive, but it tastes a lot nicer just because it's like one of those psychological things. You make it yourself, so it tastes better. And I've tried a lot more like new meats in more recent years. Like when I turned 16, I tried venison, and I like that. I've eaten kangaroo. That was nice. Tastes like duck, but it's not as. It's a bit more fatty, if you get what I mean. Tried duck. Didn't so much like duck. Maybe my fault on how I cooked it because it was kind of dry. But yeah, gamey. That's the word I'm looking for. Gamey. Tried another. What was that other one I tried? I can't remember. Like my memory's good up to a certain point. Like I can remember things like how a worm has 10 hearts, or is it 5? I know some form of invertebrate has 10 hearts. I know octopus has 3. I know that an octopus has 9 brains. Stuff like that. I know that the peregrine falcon can reach speeds of up to 200 miles per hour. I know like alligators can live indefinitely until killed. So like until like they contract like some form of cancer or something. I know how shark brain works. I know how shark senses work. I know how echolocation works. I know how to like mix different chemicals to get a certain reaction. I know how to use pipettes and microscopes, and I know how to use some technology. But now when it comes to like remembering like certain names and things, you're like, that's gone. I could tell you the entire evolutionary history of like reptiles to birds and mammals, like when they split off to make those two new groups. But then remembering the different muscles, can kind of remember most of the bones. Like obviously you got your skull, you've got like 3 different sections of vertebrae. You've got your false ribs and your true ribs. You've got your sternum. You've got humerus, tibia, fibula, carpals, metacarpals, phalanges, tarsals, metatarsals, femur. Probably already said femur. Ulna, and I forgot the last one. And yeah, I can recall a lot of facts, but I can remember images a lot easier than I can words. So kind of, well, someone told me photographic memory. I don't think it's that. I think it's just images are a lot easier to make out for me. I used to have an overactive imagination as a kid. So I can make up my own world and stuff like that. But then obviously as I've gotten older, that's gotten a lot harder. So, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. This is possible too. I want to believe it's possible, but until physics can prove it, it can't happen, sort of thing. Because I understand basics of physics. I understand moderate amount of chemistry and biochemistry. But then when it comes to, and then obviously a lot about biology because of zoology. When it comes to other certain things, it's just like, I can remember stuff about math, but like I'm kind of outdone by that by like my 13-year-old sister. Like I don't know how, but my little sister somehow has like the highest IQ I've ever met on someone. Like how Scott is with animals, she is with like everything, like math. She's 13, and she's the top student in the entire school. She's higher than all the 16-year-olds, 17, 18, 14, 15, all those. She's higher than all of those. And she's only in her 2nd year of high school. About to go into her 3rd in September. So I guess there is some brains in the family. To be fair, I'm not like favoritizing, like all my siblings are brainy. It's just in different ways. All my siblings have their own like quirks. Like my youngest brother can sing and dance, and he's brilliant at it. It's just he's really shy. Obviously, I got my really brainy sister. Got another one. She's obsessed with like parasites and like microbes and things like that. Like she has an entire scrapbook of different diseases and how they're caused and stuff. And then I've got another brother who's like very like as an he did want to be an engineer, but he can't. He's really bad at drawing, so he can't. But when it comes to history, he's bloody amazing. One of my favorite subjects at school was history, but if you ask him a certain question, he can give you like the exact year, give or take like 2 or 3 years of when it happened, as long as he knows about it. And then I've got another sister who is really good. Is really good at. Well, all 3 of my sisters are really good at drawing, but then she works for a car manufacturer, and then I've got a stepbrother who's really athletic. So it's just one of those things. I've got that many siblings. We all have our own niche into what we're interested in, but a lot of my family are big on animals, so I'm happy with that. One of my little cousins wants to be a zookeeper when she grows up, so I can help her steer her in the right directions to go. But is there? People are probably going to watch this back and think, "What the hell is going on?" But yeah, it's like although they're not scientifically accurate, I like the Jurassic Park and Jurassic World series because although the dinosaurs may not be realistic, it goes into theories of like genetic modification and what's capable, like with scientists wanting to bring back woolly mammoths and stuff like that. It wouldn't look like a true woolly mammoth. It would be a hybrid between a woolly mammoth and its most recent, like its closest living relative, which is the Asian elephant. So it'd just be like a furry, woolly Asian elephant sort of thing. And obviously, they'd actually have to do it in a more colder climate than where they used to live in. But morally, obviously, it's one of those things. It's like, should we do it? Do we not? Because obviously, we're kind of going against nature by bringing back a species that died. But we've already proved we can do that with a species of ibex. It was the first species to go extinct twice because they had a DNA sample from it, from the last one alive. It died. They managed to bring it back, but it only survived for a certain amount of hours. So we know de-extinction is possible. It's just how far back we can go. So obviously, like the DNA of a frozen elephant is like the furthest we're pushing, because that's like. Whereas with the ibex, it was only like a couple of years, like 5-10 years. With woolly mammoth, it's 10,000 at least. So it's one of those. I think obviously not with the woolly. That's more of just like see what happens. It makes people aware of what we're able to do nowadays. But for other species of animals, it could be like the answer to conservation. We can't bring it back. There wouldn't be any gene pool to draw from for sustaining the species like the North. Yeah, that's fair enough. Like we wouldn't be able to sustain the species, so it's kind of just bringing it back for our own amusement sort of thing. But for species where we'd be able to do that, it's more along the lines where they want to go. But like, if you can do it with an extinct species, imagine what you can do with a living species. Like with the best example I can give is a cheetah. A cheetah has one of the worst gene pools in the wild. About 10,000 years ago, it went like it went from like 100% of what the population was back then, which was like, I don't know, say about a couple 100,000, to about 11% of that, because of like the ice ages and stuff. So it literally went from being really abundant to being really like it's called a evolutionary bottleneck. So you've gone from being an abundant species to one that's pretty much on a path to extinction, no matter what. And if we're, because well, it's caused, there's a lot of inbreeding in wild ones. It's caused a lot of like, and because of that, that's a lot of low infant or high infant mortality. Low, like instead of having like litters of like 5 or 6, it's like litters of 1, maybe 2 at most. And it's kind of like breeding pugs in a way, because like they took like, I remember the paper on they took the DNA samples from like 10,000 different pugs, and they had the same genetics as about 50 different individuals. That's pretty much the same with cheetahs. But because we have some in captivity and we're trying to keep those gene pools as separate or as far away from each other as possible, so that like, so instead of, so you got male, female, mate, male, female, mate, and then their offspring mate, and then get a different offspring come a mate, and then obviously where one had, after like 3 or 4 generations, they can technically breed again, but it's not viable. So it's more of like trying to do it for species that still have it. Obviously with cheetahs, it's probably not the best example because their population is still dwindles day by day, year by year, and stuff like that. But for ones where it's like more, well, it's more applicable, like say lions, because obviously they live in prides, dominant male breeds with everything. So obviously if you can get the DNA from other males and then put that into the females so that there's more genetic variance, it allows for it. So this is where like morals meet science and political correctness. So like obviously science wants to advance, and so do politics, but then morals holds it all back. So it's like so it's like the morality of this stuff that we're doing. Obviously, I would love to be able to see a mammoth, learn about its behaviors, learn about its stuff, but obviously it wouldn't be the same. But then with stuff like passenger pigeons, that could technically succeed, because we have quite a few DNA. Well, we have several hundred specimens preserved, so it's easy, like where they've been like taxidermied and that their feathers still contain the DNA, and it's not as degraded as a woolly mammoth. It's only been for like probably about 200 years, and because of the number of individuals that we have an entire, like, we have a great selection for a gene pool for them, because obviously there's ones in America, there's ones in Britain, there's ones probably in Asia and Africa and stuff like that. So and then obviously fertilizing pigeon eggs with passenger pigeon DNA, we can make new flocks. It's just behaviors wouldn't be the same. They have actually recently done it with a type of cat that's endangered in the wild. So they used domestic cats because that was the closest relative. But that cat, although it had its full genome was that of the cat that is endangered, its behavior was that of the domestic cat. So it's like a 50-50 toss-up. If we can actually do it where the species is still alive and we're introducing new gene pool and stuff like that, it can work if it's in captivity or in captive populations and stuff like that, where they're still wild, but they wouldn't be able to be their own. They have to integrate with another species to live on. It's affecting their behavior, like with the northern white rhino, because obviously they'd have to use another type of rhino to do it, so it wouldn't exhibit the same stuff. It's the same with like the different black rhinos, and it's the same with like a Malaysian tapir and a South American one. It's also the same with like European bison. There's like, they went extinct in the wild, and then the population that was left, there was 1 male and 10 females. So although the DNA from all the different mothers helps vary the gene pool a bit, they all still have the same male half of it. Whereas with the American bison, they were able to save because there was more variants. Do you think it's... So I'm guessing you mean like a cycle, because I can't pronounce... I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that word, but well, silical, and I'm guessing that's what you mean. So life, disease that culls the herd. So from being born to a disease that culls the herd to, I know I'm not expressing myself. I know I'm not expressing myself well. Maybe you can read my mind. Locally, there seems to be a cycle to, well, yeah, obviously there is a circle of life. The drive for all living species is to like reproduce, carry on your genome, and survive. So survival of the fittest. So that obviously the best genetics wins out. So the biggest, toughest male and stuff like that. But then like when you get interference, like with humans poaching, it causes mutations and evolution. So obviously the best example of that is elephants. Because poachers are targeting elephants with giant tusks as it's going to bring in the most money for the ivory, that leaves the males with like the smaller tusks or like no tusks at all. And because usually the ones with the bigger tusks would win in like the mating battles to breed with the females, those males don't have to compete and breeding with the females. And like so like the females obviously don't have as big tusks as it is. So like the mutations for no tusks at all or smaller tusks are being passed on to future generations. Like there's an entire herd of elephants at the moment where I think only the matriarch or the oldest female has tusks, and then the others have no tusks at all. But in a way that it helps the species survive because they're not being poached for the tusks. If they're hunted, they're only being hunted because of either trophy hunting or by local tribesmen for like the meat and the resources. And I know there's a big thing about trophy hunting, whether it's fair or not, but the downside is you lose an animal. The upside is the amount of income it's bringing for that local community and the amount of that money that goes to preserving this, like preserving the savannas and stuff like that. Because like obviously when it's like Cecil and stuff like that, that's a different story because that was poaching. But when it's like they're actually going out with guides who are taking them out, they're looking for they've been given a certain animal that they're allowed to go and kill because like they're too aggressive. Like they've passed on their genes, and they've gotten too aggressive. It's like for something like it's like a rhino, probably be the best one. For every rhino that's killed for trophy hunting, 20 more rhinos survive. So it's the kind of thing like sacrifice one for the many. But that one will be like it would be like near its end days anyway. It'd be like sick or dying. It would be like they've bred a lot, and they're becoming like, so there's no more room for their gene pool to integrate, or it's causing inbreeding. So it's for like the better of the species in a way. So it's basically like flip a coin and it lands on the middle, if you know what I mean. Like it lands like that. So you got the good side, you got the bad side. It's just humans, especially in like the last 2 centuries, have influenced a lot on the cycle of life. So there's times where we're good for the environment because we better ourselves, but then there's also the times where we're the worst thing for the environment. Bloody phone going off. I don't care. I don't know what else I can say about the cycle of wildlife, because obviously, like, yeah, don't worry. I was probably going to end it in like 4 minutes or so anyway. So, yeah, enjoy your evening. And for anyone else who's watching this, or plays it back, enjoy the rest of your day, morning, evening, afternoon, whatever. And I hope you enjoy the playback. And thank you, Kate, for all your questions and keeping the discussion going. And see you again, guys. Oh, Kate. Bye. Hopefully it will get easier. Good night.